Welcome, I'm your host Malcolm Gallagher. From our BizVision studios in the UK, you're watching the BVTV network. Nobody needs to tell you that the tourism and hospitality sector has been hurt badly with coronavirus. Recent news shows that almost 10,000 pubs and restaurants called time permanently in 2020. After 40 years of experience in the hospitality sector, I truly feel it for those owners who have had to call time for the last time. But don't think there's a built-up clamour to be patrons of those businesses that are left as soon as lockdown is lifted. The business of hospitality has changed and will remain changed for some time. I'm not just talking in the process of, say, servicing and taking cash, but I'm also talking in the experience that is offered to customers and guests. For example, staycation, holidaying in the UK, is likely to be prominent in people's minds. But today's holidaymakers want a memorable experience, which is witnessed by the growth of specialty breaks, such as discovering your past. It's my thinking that hospitality businesses need to be planning now how they will deliver and market such experiences in the future, obviously while staying within the law. And so I'm taking you to meet someone I've known for a long time and someone who truly knows about delivering an experience. From Treasure Trails, please meet Ivan Poole. Welcome, Ivan.
Hello, Malcolm. Delighted to be chatting to you today.
Hey, it's great. And you're in a snowbound Staffordshire, and I'm in just a cold Northumberland.
Oh, well, the world's topsy-turvy, so we'll send it back to you.
Okay, let's explore what we can do with guests. Ivan, I'm delighted you're kindly guesting on the BVTV network, especially for our Business of Hospitality channel as we bring it back from furlough. In this BVTV talk show, I'll be chatting to Ivan in three parts. First part, I'll chat to him about the importance of providing that additional discovery guest experience and what makes for a good experience and the anticipation planning. Part two, we'll move to talking about how a treasure trail works for a customer or a guest, what they do, what they learn. And then in part three, we'll talk about what a hospitality provider needs to do now to deliver a treasure trails experience and attract those vital extra guests. Ivan, before we get into our three-part chat, please briefly introduce yourself to my viewers and listeners about Treasure Trails and your thoughts for the future of tourism and hospitality. Over to you, Ivan.
Thank you. Well, Treasure Trails has been going for over 10 years now, creating experiences throughout the UK. We have 16 independent writers, each in their own region, and we create trails for all ages. And the idea is you explore maybe where you live and you find things out you never knew while you solve clues, solve puzzles. And at the end of the day, a bit of a carrot at the end of the day is that there's a monthly prize draw as well that people can enter into.
Fascinating. Now, you know a lot about history, and I've met you so many times. We've worked together many, many times, and that I just think you're really good at bringing it to life. What is it that sort of makes you bounce out of bed about what goes on in areas you're discovering?
It's the offbeat, the quirky, a bit like QI. The facts you learn aren't the boring, King Henry VIII lived here, had his tea. It's the fact that when he had his tea there, he gave his shoes to the jester because he told a good joke, or the offbeat things that you don't find from the Tourist Information Office or just searching the web.
Yeah, I always found that you're just a fountain of knowledge. I just don't know how much you've got in there. Ivan, let's kick off our chat in part one by talking about the importance of providing that additional discovery guest experience and what makes for a good experience and the anticipation planning, I suppose, that a guest enjoys.
Well, particularly with staycation or short breaks in particular, people are busy. They're time poor, even during lockdown and furlough. As you know, a lot of bookings for weekend breaks are made in the middle of the night when people are in bed on their tablets. So what people want is a complete package. And by bolting a treasure trail or other experiences in, the provider can say, here's your weekend. It's all laid on for them. so that they don't have to think. They turn up and the experience is there. A bit like when you go to Alton Towers, you know that you're going because the rides are there. You don't have to think, what shall we do? So
Yeah.
it takes that planning away from people that haven't got time to really plan in depth.
And is that sort of experience a one-off, or do people then sort of delve further into it? Once you've found out about one king, you want to find out another, or whatever it may be.
Well, we've got nearly 1,200 trails across the UK, and we've certainly found in the last 9 months that once people start, they don't stop. They do another trail and another trail. Amazingly, in the last 9 months, our turnover has increased 70%.
Wow.
70, because people are walking, fulfilling, the lockdown requirements and the exercise, and they discover that they can walk and enjoy and go as a family, and it's filled a need.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, let's move to part 2, Ivan. And before we do that, I'd just like to remind viewers and listeners of your website URL, which for viewers, obviously, you can see is on the screen behind me, but I'll spell it out for listeners. And it is Treasure Trails, TRAILS, treasuretrails.co.uk. Ivan, time for part 2. Let's move to talking about how a treasure trail works best for a customer or guest, what they do, what they learn. Give me perhaps a few examples.
Well, a key element is that it's driven by the customer. They take on average about 2 hours. Some are a little bit longer, some a little bit shorter. They're all in towns and villages, so no special footwear, for instance, always somewhere for a cup of tea, or usually a park for the children. Certainly there'll be toilets somewhere, but you do it in your own time, at your own pace. You could do 1 hour today, 1 hour in a few weeks' time. So there's no compulsion to complete. So it's a relaxed approach driven by the customer, which I think is really important. They can choose what to do, when to do it.
Yeah, got you there. Now, what's your favourite trail in Staffordshire?
Everyone's different.
I know. I'm asking for your favourite one, though.
That's a really difficult one to answer, because each one, as you create it, you learn something.
Yeah.
I find it's much more rewarding if you take somewhere like Lichfield. It's a historic city. Everybody knows it's going to be enjoyable, full of old buildings and so on. You have an expectation. If you go to somewhere in the West Midlands, you have a lower expectation, so you are surprised by how much you actually discover. So sometimes that's a better experience.
Yeah. And it is discovering all those things. And I was in Lichfield the other day interviewing the owner and the maker of bee gin. He keeps bees, and he makes a beautiful gin, apiary gin, I think that's right. Yeah, he sent us a few samples for Kim and I to test out, of course. Yeah, but what I also like about what you do is that you open up places that people would ignore. For example, you and I have worked quite a few times together in Stoke, and people would bypass Stoke. But what a history, isn't there?
Well, there's so much to see. I mean, every time somebody completes a trail, if they send their answer in, they can send comments in. And I would think 1 in 4 comments is, I've lived there 20 years and never knew, whatever it is. Because we go down the little back streets, or you look high, you look low. You're not there just looking in the shop windows.
Yeah. I just remembered all those things. You were telling me you were starting to document some stuff within Stoke, and I think it would have, if you'd done it all, it would have been like going around the Winter Palace, wouldn't it?
Oh, that's it. It's where do you stop is the key sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't overload people.
Right. Yeah. So a trail can be adapted for a family or a couple, or do they buy a pack that's for a family or for a couple?
They're created to suit all ages. We have this sort of family with young children in our mind all the time, but we have plenty of retired people, young couples, the whole spectrum. But the way it's constructed, is to suit all ages. We bumped into, on Boxing Day, in the village where we live, where there's a trail that I didn't write, somebody else wrote. We bumped into a group of 7 people, grandparents, their 2 children with their respective spouses, and the grandchildren, including a baby in arms. And the dogs went from 6 months to 18. So the whole spectrum was enjoying it together. And apparently it's a family tradition. Every Christmas, they meet up and they do a trail.
Wow. We should be setting a new trend here, shouldn't we, really? You know, every Christmas, Easter and everything. And I'm sure that when it gets back, and it's going to be the same for us. I mean, we've got 4 grandchildren, 2 of which we can't see, but they're only 90 miles away in York. We're just looking forward to doing things together when they get back. And it sounds like Treasure Trails is a great way of doing things together and learning, because children, of course, are maybe missing out on a lot of important learning at the moment. Okay, let's move to part 3, Ivan. And I want to talk to you about what's close to both of our hearts. You know, people working hard in hospitality because they do. You know, they're trying to attract those extra guests. They've been hurt badly, and they need to, you know, bounce back and get that extra revenue and attract more guests and get them to repeat as well. What does a hospitality provider need to do to deliver a Treasure Trails experience and attract extra guests? Is it, for example, to have a special page on their website talking about discovery opportunities?
I think they've got to be flexible and look forwards. Because if you stay where you are, you're not going to get anywhere now. You've got to offer something new to encourage people. There's a time when they're still wary of travelling, never mind staying within the UK. But if you offer something new, something that is safe, because you're doing it yourself, you're not going anywhere, that is cost effective, because a lot of people have been struggling through lockdown, obviously financially, and a trail at £10 for a family is nothing compared to so many activities. So it's affordable and that they can do anywhere.
Excellent. Yes. Look, the UK tourism and hospitality market has a special opportunity once the coronavirus crisis has passed. It's an opportunity to attract more guests from more parts of the world, to show them more of the UK. It's time to better understand the guest and to deliver a better experience. Yeah. Thanks, Ivan Poole of Treasure Trails, for showing one clear way that they can achieve that.
My pleasure.